Let me ask you a question. What happens when you balance your finances, career, and your well-being? There's no limit to what you can achieve. I'm Jalen Vickery, your host and guide on how to build wealth with wellness. Living in a world of information overload and misleading highlight reels, Finance Fitness Finesse is a podcast to help you realize you're not woke, you're broke, and how to change that in your favor. If you're looking to elevate your wealth, well-being, and discover the power of balance, tune in to learn why money matters, but wellness counts.
My job as a financial planner was to sell the problem, not the solution. The solution took care of itself. If a person doesn't believe they have a problem, they're not going to look for a solution.
Hey finessers! Welcome to another episode of Finance, Fitness, and Finesse, where we build your wealth with wellness. I'm your host, JaeVic, and thank you for joining me for this Savvy Scholar, where industry experts share their insights on building wealth, managing stress, and living a balanced life. Before we get started, help your lifelong learner community grow and leave a rate and review for the show on the homepage. Your feedback is highly favored. Today's guest has made it his life's purpose to help others help themselves to a better life. Through principles like always do your best and frameworks like the CASH and CUSS principles, Marc Changnon provides actionable insights on career success, personal growth, and entrepreneurial thinking. I'm thrilled to have him here to share his wisdom on leadership, mentorship, and how to unlock your potential purpose in both life, work, and overall financial health. Let's get into it. To your point of, challenging yourself to really be present in a conversation, you would be surprised on what you pick up from a person, not only from what they say, but also from their body language. And by challenging yourself, it's a form of exposure therapy to just let your phone, buzz in your pocket. It's challenging your attention span. But also with that, going back to the first part of your CUSS principle of seek to care,
right?
It's not that parents who put a device in front of their children don't care.
Right.
Maybe they're busy working or, they cannot entertain a toddler tugging at their leg every 5 seconds. But what I have found in some of the elementary schools I've worked in is that these kids, they're so eager to connect and be heard and be acknowledged by their teachers. I was a behavioral teacher's aide for a second grade class, and these kids were just ecstatic in the fact that I really acknowledged them. And the only thing we could put together was like, is this not happening at home? Are you just given a phone or a device when your parents or caregivers don't have time to really address you? So I'm totally with you, Marc, in the fact that it's even more important, not only for parents, but teachers and coaches to really show that they care for the kids that they interact with.
Right. It's in my book, it's imperative. And if we don't do something like that pretty soon, we'll have generations of individuals thinking that I really don't get a lot of love or care from the people around me, but I can go to a phone and that'll be my friend because it's always there. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a sociologist like you, and I don't have the background, but it's just what my observation as an adult, old adult that has raised 3 kids myself. It's just something that's concerning. The CUSS principle for me has just helped immensely. And I don't think I could use that philosophy if all I had was a phone or a computer. Like you said, I think one of the key things you said is when you're communicating with people, communications just isn't a verbal hearing and giving back this way. It's watching my face. And am I excited or am I sad? Or am I up or am I looking over here? Am I paying attention or I'm not? All those things, the body language is a huge piece of communication. If anybody
Yes.
doesn't understand that, try to go and sell something one time to somebody and watch their body language. It'll tell you whether
Yes.
they're interested in the product or not real quickly,
Mm-hmm. For sure, Marc. And I mean, even though going through so much school in regards to psychological behavior health, I know much more of the in-depth stuff than maybe the average person, but we all experience psychology every day. I
Right.
mean, you working in the finance industry, there's so much psychology and money.
Oh,
And I have this theory that the lasting pandemic that we are experiencing is not only a disconnect socially, but also we are in a financial illiteracy pandemic.
Incredibly. Yes. Yes. I totally agree. Totally agree with that. We've lost touch. And then the other thing is that they get so involved with their phone or computer that now they're getting information. And then now we're asking ourselves, is this information real
Yeah,
or is it fake? Is it right? Is it wrong? What do I believe? Who do I trust? Oh my goodness. The world has changed. The pandemic changed a lot of things. And
very much so.
the whole idea of trusting somebody to guide you and to believe in what they're saying, a lot of that's gone by the wayside. When I was selling financial products, I would be talking to a maybe a medical doctor at one appointment, and then by the an hour and a half later, I was talking to a guy that was a welder. And so I had to change my whole operation as far as listening and feedback based on where they're coming from. And that was good for me because I learned how to care about every individual and to weigh that situation, where they're coming from, what their background is, how much money they make, all these kind of things. I didn't want anybody to feel uncomfortable because I was talking to them as if they were really rich, or if they didn't have money, oh, aren't you poor? I mean, you're all equally important to me. Who you are, I care about you. I want to understand your situation. I want to find a solution, and I want to do it in a sincere way. And oh, by the way, guess what? If I do it correctly and you appreciate it and I sell a product, I get a commission or a kickback, whatever, and that helps me feed my family.
Yeah, it sounds like you had to have a lot of adaptability. Not that you
Oh,
were talking to people differently according to what their occupation was, but just adaptability and in their best interest of what could help elevate their,
right.
estate or their portfolio, their lifestyle.
Right. One couple might say, well, we have an extra $100 a month. What do we do with it? Or another guy might say, I have an extra 10,000 a month. What do I do with it? You have to adapt and not go, oh, I'm only going to work with people with $10,000 a month because I don't want to work with you. No. I looked at what I was doing as something that would, if it's helpful for a human being and her family, then it's helpful for everybody, not just for the rich. It's helpful for everybody. And I want everybody to be better off. It's the old 4-H motto, make the best better. I always wanted to take where you are and make you better, help you be a better situation for your finances and for your family.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm just thinking through some of the key words that have gone through this podcast. It's, liberation, creativity, communication, care, connection, adaptability, purpose. I mean, if listeners, if you guys don't take anything from that, take one of those key words and see how you can just take flight with it. Some of the things that we're talking about, it can be difficult, especially for someone who is on a variable income, who may not be able to necessarily afford the help of a financial professional, or they may not be able to afford to go out to conferences. But I mean, if you're at U of I, there are free conferences available. So again, I'm going to stress that you need to be going to these free conferences. They are such a great opportunity. Marc, I'm wondering if you have any insight as to how somebody with a variable income can get started in trying to establish a good financial base for themselves, especially in a world where there is so much information coming at us of what the right way is to invest and to save and all this stuff. I mean, what could potentially, ground zero be for someone trying to get started with getting their financial levels to a stabilized place?
Wow. That's a huge question, and it maybe would take different roads based on the individual I'm talking to. But I would say that some of the basics are almost like going back to my dad when he said, let's set up a savings account. His whole philosophy was if you make a buck, that's great. And Uncle Sam's going to walk in and he's going to take out some money. The state of Illinois is going to come in and take out some money. And that guy named FICA, we haven't figured out who he is yet, but he comes in and he takes some money. So all three of those folks take something out of that dollar I just made. So when I come home, it's not like I'm making a dollar. I'm really making about 65 cents. Oh, okay. So if that's 65 cents, how much of that 65 cents do I need to live on? Well, I got to have a roof over my head. So that's going to take some of the 65 cents. Yeah. And do I really need a car, or do I really need a motorcycle, or do I need a mode of transportation, or can I get by using something else for the time being? That's a question. I don't know. If I have a home, do I have to furnish it? If I have a home, yeah. Do I have to pay for utilities? Well, yeah. How about, do I need renter's insurance or homeowner's insurance? Well, yeah, you need to protect what I've got, because if it burns, I lose everything. Um, and see, when I sold financial products years ago, and some of those were life insurance and disability and that type of thing, and people would say, "Yeah, Mr. Chagnon, I want to put money in the stock market." I'm like, "Great. How much are you going to put in there?" I'm going to put in $250 every month into the stock market. I'm like, "Okay, cool, cool." And then in a year, how much money have you put in? And they go, "Well, and they sit back and they add it all up. Well, that's $3,000. Well, that's great. And how much has it grown? Well, it's growing at an average of the, oh, so maybe your stock is worth $3,200 now. Uh-huh. And what happens if somebody in a car that didn't get their brakes fixed goes through an intersection and hits you broadside, and all of a sudden you're not here anymore? Well, if you have any family members, maybe a spouse, maybe not, maybe other, what would they receive? Well, they would receive $3,200 from your stocks. Okay, cool. What if you would have taken that 250 and said, let's take $25 of that 250, let's put 225 into the stock market, and maybe take $25 and buy a 50,000 or 20 or $100,000 life insurance policy. Oh, well, why would I do that? Well, now you've got 30, maybe a little less than 3,200 in your stock market now, because you put 25 less in. But guess what? And that car hits you, now your family gets $100,000 tax free from the life insurance policy. Hmm. So maybe we need to look at where the dollars go, and maybe think, I do need some protection. If I'm renting or owning, I need homeowners insurance or renters. If I'm driving a car, I need auto insurance. Do you trust your insurance agent? What do you mean? I met a lot of people that said they had great auto insurance and they're paying nothing for it. And then I looked at their policy and they didn't have great coverage. It was terrible. And they didn't know it because they just trusted the insurance agent. So I would start with protection, and then I would look at savings, and then I would look at investments. So I had kind of a three-tiered effort. I would make sure everything that they could ever do to protect themselves was in place. And then I would say, okay, now with the money left over that you have that's discretionary, let's put some into liquid savings. Okay. And then once we get built up to a certain point, now let's start taking pieces of that and putting it into future investments like stocks and bonds and whatever they want to put it into. But many times they'll have a guy walk in their house and they don't have any protection, they don't have any savings, and he wants to convince them to start putting money in a high risk stock market. And to me, that's putting the cart before the horse. That's just me. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess that you would call me a conservative investor, but I was one that says, you know what? I don't put all my money here and then something happens and I have nothing to fall back on, or I have no coverage, or it just didn't make sense to me. So that would be my very basic, financial plan 101, is to, am I protected? If I'm a single person like you, Jay, do I have auto insurance, and do I think it's adequate, and do I think it's appropriate? Yeah. And the most
Mm-hmm.
important part is, yeah, protect your car, but also protect your liability. And people don't get it. They go, oh, I've got liability insurance. Well, how much do you have? Oh, 25,000 over 50, or 50 over 100. And I'm like, do you understand what that means? No. Well, that means that if you're in a car accident, you have 25,000 per person that gets hurt, and a total of $50,000 total. If you hit somebody with three people in the car and they go to the hospital, do you think 50 grand is going to be enough? And if it isn't, they're going to garnish your wages and they're going to make you pay that stuff over the rest of your life. I don't think that's going to, your stock market's not going to do much for you there. So I know I sound like a Debbie Downer right now, but you just have to put the protection in perspective, and to understand that that's something that we have to do. Auto insurance, renters or homeowners, and then even discuss some life insurance for somebody. When you're single and there's not a whole bunch dependent upon you, that's no big deal. But oh, go, mom and dad help pay for my college education. They probably invested $75,000 or $150,000 in my college education. And now then something happens and I'm taken away. If my gift to them would be, oh, I'm going to take out a policy of 100,000 in case something happens to me, they get that back. Yes, they've lost me. They're heartbroken, but they do get financially something back from me, and I'm thanking them for what they did for me. I
Thank you
hope,
for breaking that down for us. From what I understood when you started was the importance of understanding your needs versus your wants,
yes,
getting that on paper, maybe just writing it out, like what are the bills I need to pay for basic survival? And then what are the things that I just want? I really want to buy it, but I could make adjustments. So
right.
then from there, once I'm understanding my income to expense ratio from month to month, I can work to then leverage my money for protection. Because to put it blunt, Mark, you're not being a Debbie Downer, but it happens in life. Stuff happens.
And I don't want it to happen to anybody, but it happens. And we don't think it's going to happen to us, but it does. And so, boy, if I'm protected, and I'm taking a few bucks of my money to protect me, auto, home, life, whatever. Okay, great. Super. I'm protected. Now I can turn my attention to, I want to buy a new cell phone. Well, it's going to cost me $1,200. Do you have the 1,200 bucks? Oh, absolutely not. Well, I'm just going to go get it now and I'll just pay. I'll do this. I'll take out a loan. What? No. What you do is you say, I'm going to put, okay, you want to buy a cell phone and it's 1,200 bucks? Put $100 a month away. And in 12 months, you get $1,200. Now go in and buy your new cell phone and pay for it outright. You don't borrow any money. You don't have to pay money on a monthly basis. Just go get it because you saved for it. It's over. It's done. You didn't have to go take out a loan or do any of that crap to buy something. You save for it. Now, granted, a house, you can't save $400,000 and then go buy the house. It'll take you forever. And I know getting a home mortgage or buying a car, $40,000 car, you can't just, oh, I'm going to save 40,000 bucks. I get it. But smaller things that you really think you want, well, then say, okay, break it down and save so much a month for it for 6 months, 3 months, 8 months. Discipline yourself to say, I'm going to work hard to save the money and then I'll reward myself down the road. And don't take a charge card, which I've seen way too much of. And people go, oh, I'll charge it. I'll charge it. You go to the University of Illinois, I'll never forget this. I'm on campus, freshman on campus, the quad day, and they're, oh, we got free t-shirts, Illinois t-shirts. I'm like, hey, dude, this is great. All you got to do is fill out this form right here. I fill out the form. This is great. I go, what's this for? Oh, you're going to get a credit card, but here's your free t-shirt. And then about 2 weeks later, I get this letter in the mail with a credit card in it. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And somebody, oh, that's a credit card. You can go buy things with it. Really? Sweet. So I go buy things with it, and all of a sudden I get a bill. You owe us this much. Wait a minute. What do you mean? Well, I can't pay that right now. Well, okay. Well, then the credit card companies, they're going to charge you 22% interest on the balance. What? Excuse me? And I'm making,
It's so predatory.
oh my God. And I saw so many of my friends get into this, and all of a sudden it's like they're looking down a well and they said, I think I'm just going to jump in and see how far down the water is. It blew me away. And people would say, oh yeah, that's a charge card. You just charge it and you can pay later. And then now we're going to kick the can down the road, and the charge card companies just love the crap out of people that don't pay their balance off. I told my wife, and this is when we got married, 1980, 44 years ago, I said, we got credit cards. You got some, I got some. I said, the day that comes and when we get a credit card bill in and we can't pay the entire balance due, that credit card gets cut up in little pieces and thrown in a waste can because that
Mm-hmm.
we're not disciplined enough to use it. It should be a convenience, not a long-term loan. It's convenient to buy it on credit today, but when the bill comes next month, you pay it off. Cool.
Yep.
I get that. But if you buy it today and you can't pay it off next month, why in the God's green earth did you buy it today? Because you knew you couldn't pay for it. Oh, and I
Mm-hmm.
keep up with the Joneses. I want to have what they have. I want to roll with the nice clothes or the nice shoes or the boots or the okay, whatever. I got to do that. No, no. Maybe tonight you don't go out.
It all feeds into your wellness as well, Mark. Like even, and that's the thing with like money being a game, but it's preparing you for the present, for the future. It's recovering from the past as well if you have debt. But with that, Mark is not saying to just go out and buy every single type of insurance. It's about covering your back so that when something does happen in life, and it will, if you're the average human being, you probably will have something happen to you throughout the course of your life. It's
Right.
about putting the things in place so that when that does happen, it also relieves a lot of stress. You're not at the
Right.
bottom of the well. You have no options. At least you have some options for help. And then also with the discipline component of waiting to buy something that might be a bigger purchase that you can't afford now, it is so freeing and validating to finally purchase that thing you've been saving up for a long time, rather than continuing to drown in the credit card debt that's been going on for months, years, that you can't even recover from. And now
No.
you're also limited in other things you can do in your life because that debt, the shackles of debt are following you around.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, it's incredible. It can just devastate somebody. And you think about the things that can lead people to depression today. Financial illiteracy can lead to some heavy duty depression in people because they go, oh my God, what have I done? How can I ever get out of this? They don't see a way out. They feel like they're drowning. And unless somebody like me would come along in those days and help them, here's a life jacket. And yeah, you've gotten yourself in trouble, but we're going to get out of it. And it's going to take a while, but we're going to get out of it. But we've got to do this, this, and this to get out. If you don't do those three things or four or whatever it is, you're not getting out of it. So are you disciplined enough to now say, I am fed up with this and I'm not going to do it again? And here's how I'm going to get out of it.
This is why I want to become a financial therapist, because of what money can really
Oh,
cause, the havoc it can cause in people's lives. And I'm sure you've seen a lot, Mark, throughout your career, whether it was in financial planning or just in your entrepreneurship coaching, of, yeah, like you said, the depression that can come about when you feel lost in your purpose, when your
yep.
financial situation is a mess. And in therapy, what we talk about, how somebody finally will go to therapy when you've had enough. When you're
Yes.
like, I'm either it's rock bottom, or you're like, I've had enough of this cycle of trauma, of torture that's happening in my life. And in a similar way, people probably sought out your services of being like, I've had enough of
Yes.
drowning in my financial situation.
Yep. Then they come to me and say, make it better. Like I'm a doctor. I'm going to give them a pill. And I go, no, I can't give you a pill. What I can do is I can tell you that I want to know exactly where you are. And I'm going to share with you, and you're going to know just how you got there. Is that a good habit or a bad habit? And I shut up and they go, it's a bad habit. I go, okay. So you've discovered that you have a bad habit financially, and it's led to this really bad situation. Okay. Now we have to learn new habits. We have to learn how to budget. We have to learn how to take the dollar you make and use it to pay off this debt and keep paying for everything else. And what you're going to have to do now is you're going to have to sacrifice. Okay. That's a huge word and they don't like to hear it. But if they're not willing to sacrifice now because of the situation they've gotten into, they're never going to get out of it. They've got to sacrifice and learn a new process, a new system of financial planning for themselves. And once they do, it frees them from the shackles of financial debt. And now they can say, I now have a future. But people don't always get educated. That's the thing. They don't learn
Mm-hmm.
about this stuff. And that's what I keep saying to people in high schools. You've got to have a class in a high school, it could be a semester long, on teaching finance to your students. And you cannot graduate unless you've taken this course. In school, they go, oh, you got to take the Constitution test. And if you don't pay, you can't graduate, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's all well and good. And I think that's wonderful. But I think they also have to say to the students, if you don't pass the financial literacy end of the year exam on basic information like checking and savings and futures and homes. And I mean, I asked a kid one time, I said, you bought a car? Yeah. What was in the financial paperwork that you, oh, I don't know. I just signed the stuff and I've got it in a file. Have you ever looked at it? No. What interest rate are you paying? What do you mean? On your loan? I don't know. I got the car. It's like, oh, dig in, be more detail oriented. Understand this is your money and you should control it, not somebody else. Don't let other people control your money. Don't let other people control what you're doing. And I always told people, I said, my job in financial planning, my job is not to say, you need to buy this, you need to buy this, you need to buy this. What I needed to do, my job was to look at their whole financial plan or the whole financial picture in a very inclusive way from point A to point B to all the way to Z and to say, I've looked at everything. Okay. Here are some problems that I see. and I lay them out and I look at the person and say, do you see these problems too? If they said to me, oh my gosh, Mark, yes. Then I would say, do you want to work with me to find the solution? Yes. So my job as a financial planner was to sell the problem, not the solution. The solution took care of itself. If a person doesn't believe they have a problem, they're not going to look for a solution.
Amen to that. Amen to that, Mark. Again, you guys can't see me. I was like, I feel like I'm over here like silently crying, and we'll have to have a part two on educational policy between
Oh,
you and I, because I don't even think we can dive into that without this being like a 3 hour episode. But
no.
educational policy around financial literacy surely has a lot of growth that needs to happen. But in the things that are currently happening, such as financial therapy starting to take off, but then also if you are working with a financial professional, whether it be an advisor or a financial planner, CFP is they have like a clause, I'm pretty sure, that you have to look out for the best interests of the customer.
Right.
But if your financial associate is not helping you see where some of the roadblocks are for you in regards to changing your financial life, where the barriers are, and they're only trying to just push products on you, you should probably turn around and walk out the door
Walk away. Walk
because
away.
yes, self-awareness is a superpower. And if your
Yep.
therapist or your financial planner is not helping you achieve that self-awareness, then you're not going anywhere.
I
You're just
totally
having your
agree.
money taken from you. Hmm.
Totally agree. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Well, to close out the episode, Mark, I have one last question for you because life is hard. Navigating everything is really hard. So, what advice do you have for our audience about maintaining a positive attitude in challenging situations?
Oh, wow. That's a toughie. Okay, a couple things come to mind. Okay, and these are just a couple things. One of the things that I think is so important is kind of a gratitude. Count your blessings. Grandma used to say, "Count your blessings," and I always like, "What the heck is she talking?" Count your all the things that you feel blessed to have: good health, good friends, a place to live, an education to go get. I mean, all those kind of things. The blessing. Count your blessings and understand that it's not I have to. I get to mind frame. I get to. And what that means is I get to get up in the morning and I get to go to school. There's people in this world who don't get up in the morning because they can't physically. Or I get to see the sunrise. A lot of people don't see the sunrise because and I know this sounds terrible, they're blind. They can't see it. Or I get to hear. I mean, all those things I get to. Oh my goodness. Count your blessings and also learn to recall past successes. One of the things I developed early in my career was I'm a good person file. I know it sounds crazy, but I had a file in my desk wherever I worked. It was I'm a good person. When I would get a note from somebody saying, Mark, thank you so much. You were the best. I love you. You're wonderful. You care about me. You help me. Whatever. Anything that was positive about me, that went my I'm a good person file. Okay. And anytime that I hit a roadblock, it might be, oh my gosh, this is the worst day of this has just been terrible. Everything hasn't worked out right. And I think, oh, I'm not a good person. Grab that file, pull it out, and start rereading those notes, rereading what was said, and go, you know what? I am a good person. This has just been a bad day. Okay. To me, that helps with positivity. Also, just listening to great music or reading unbelievably motivational books, very, very important. And I guess the last thing I would leave would be this. I have always strived, and this has been a kind of a motto of mine along with my CUSS principle, but it's always do your best. And what I mean by that is I'm not asking you to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. And if you strive to be perfect, your expectations will never be met. And maybe that would lead to depression. But if you carry the mantra of always do your best, and I shared this with my basketball teams when I coached, and I would break every huddle with always do your best, which means Mark's best may be this high, but Jay's best might be this high. Okay. All I'm asking you is do your best. And if you do your best, I will always be proud of you. And I had a student in high school who was walking down the hall. I said, something looks wrong. And he goes, oh, Mr. Chagnon, I've got this huge math test on Friday and this is Tuesday and I don't know what to do and I don't understand what's going on. I go, here's the deal. I want you to go see your teacher. I want you to tell them that you want to do really well on this test and that they will have to stay after school or before school to meet with you, and you ask them to help you figure out the problems. Okay? Do that today. I want to see you tomorrow. I see them the next day. Did your teacher? Yeah, they met with me. I said, work with them all week. Put in the hours. Study. He took the test on Friday. Monday comes around. I didn't see him on Tuesday. I saw him in the hallway, and I go, hey, buddy, how you doing? How'd you do on your math test? He goes, you remembered? I go, heck yes, I care about you. He goes, I said, step in my office. And we went and he starts, I said, how'd you do? And he says, I got a C plus. And I went, I am so proud of you. Wow. And he starts to cry. And I'm like, oh God, what did I do? What did I say? And I said, well, I'm sorry. Did I offend you? And he goes, no, Mr. Changnon. This is a sophomore in high school. No, Mr. Changnon. Nobody's ever told me they were proud of me. I told him, I said, you know what? You did your best. I told you to always do your best. You did your best, and you got a C plus. I am proud of you for that. If I knew you didn't do your best, you didn't study, you didn't see the teacher, and got a C plus, I know you could have done better. So I'm so proud of you, and I can't wait to see what happens in your lifetime. Can you imagine how positive that would be for somebody to hear those words? And for me,
Positive and powerful.
and for me to then hear a young man say to me at age 14, 15, whatever, sophomore, that they've never been told that somebody was proud of them. Oh my goodness. So I leave you with this. Always do your best, whatever that best may be, and to know that each and every day you're going to get better.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Finance, Fitness, and Finesse. A big thank you to Marc Changnon for sharing his journey and expertise with us. Remember, dimensional wealth is key to building a better future, and with community leaders like Marc, we're one step closer to a financially empowered society. If you enjoyed this episode, help me learn with you and be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Stay tuned for more episodes where we continue to build your dimensional wealth and wellness. I'm JaeVic, and please don't act woke and be broke. Until then, stay savvy, and if you don't know, now you know. Disclaimer, this podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial or mental health advice. Always seek professional guidance tailored to your personal needs.